Hello, this is Dr. Jeff Kim, and today I'm going to talk about a topic in our Korean American Studies class that students were very interested in. But sometimes these kinds of topics can be difficult to talk about because it connects to race relations. It connects to lesson 7 of the Model Ethnic Studies curriculum on the 1992 LA civil unrest, Saigu. So, although I launched the first Korean American Studies high school class in the United States of America, I'm very fortunate that there have been scholars that have been working on this for a very long time. And so many of these lessons are archived on the KSEF website. That's kesef.org. And then there's 8 model ethnic studies lessons for Korean American studies. And today we'll be focusing on lesson 7, Saigu, the 1992 LA civil unrest. Once again, I'll just be giving more of an overview. I'll be going over some slides, but not really providing too much commentary on my thoughts and feelings, but just providing more of a satellite view of this lesson. So once again, if you were to go to this website, go to lesson number 7, you're seeing the topic, Saigu. This is a topic that many students were interested in, and you see like lesson standards, objectives, assignments, and so forth. If I hover over the menu bar, I can go to activity 7.1. In activity 7.1, students are creating a timeline of events with Saigu, the 1992 LA civil unrest. They define terms related to the event, including civil unrest, riot, uprising, justice, injustice, and advocate. They analyze the difference between justice and injustice as it relates to race and poverty in America. That's activity 7.1, so you can see how this Korean American story overlaps with so many other stories and creates great spaces for learning. Here's the second activity, which is using interviews of Korean Americans who are part of the 1992 LA riots, looking at some oral histories actually. Students explore the impact of the 1992 LA civil unrest by analyzing and interviews of individuals who are part of it. And then let's go to activity 7.3. In 7.3, students examine the legacy of Saigu for Korean Americans. They compare and contrast perspectives in 2 news articles and consider the future for Korean Americans. So what I thought I'd do is I'd go back to the lesson standards. You can see the overarching lessons that were there. There's all these instructions, including support materials. But what I thought I'd go to is also a Google slide that's provided, which is very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see all these video clips and handouts are provided as well. And I'm also going to go to the Google slides that were provided. I also want to go ahead and click on this. It's downloading a copy. I'm going to open it up. And I thought I'd go ahead and go through this lesson, lesson number 7, Saigu 1992 LA Civil Unrest, through the Google slides to give a quick preview and overview of these slides. So once again, that activity 7.1, a cry for justice. Some questions that you may want to consider include what events occurred during the 1992 LA civil unrest, who was involved in the unrest and what were their roles, what were some outcomes of the unrest, how does civil unrest affect communities who have limited access to financial or social support, and how has this incident shaped issues of justice and injustice for Korean Americans. So it's an opportunity to brainstorm. And then looking at Saigu itself, what is Saigu? Saigu, otherwise known as the 1992 Los Angeles riots, were a series of riots and civil disturbances that occurred in Los Angeles County in April and May 1992, actually honoring about 30 years since Saigu. Unrest began in Koreatown area of South Central Los Angeles on April the 29th after a jury acquitted 4 officers of the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, charged with using excessive force in the arrest and beating of Rodney King. This incident had been videotaped and widely shown in television broadcasts. What happened during Saigu? Thousands of people rioted over 6 days following the Rodney King verdict announcement. There was widespread looting, arson, and assault occurring, which local police forces had difficulty controlling due to lack of personnel and resources. The situation was resolved after 5,000 troops were deployed by the California National Guard, United States military, and several federal law enforcement agencies. What was the aftermath? So many buildings burnt to the ground after the riots, so many losing their businesses. What were the outcomes? You can see on the right-hand side, 63 deaths, 200 2,383 injuries, of which 229 are critical, over 10,000 arrests, over 6,400 fires, over $1 billion in damages, and the bulk of it happening in Koreatown. LAPD Chief of Police Daryl Gates, who had already announced his resignation by the time of the riots, was attributed with much of the blame for the failure to de-escalate the situation and the overall mismanagement. So if you look at this activity in 7.1, you can actually click on this K-Town map link, which will take you then to a timeline of events, so you can see what happened from step 1 all the way down the line. There's a video here that shares about the 5 top facts of the LA riots, and then it gives an opportunity then to discuss. There's a T-chart where they look at justice and injustice, and then questions can be thought out, like who perceived they had received justice or dispensed justice, who perceived that they received or dispensed injustice. So it's an opportunity to just think about justice and injustice and receiving and dispensing, and then of course perceptions of that. Opportunities for, once again, dialogue to create mutual understanding through think, pair, share activities. Questions could include, what is the difference between justice and injustice? What examples of injustice did you see in the story of Saigu? Who benefits from injustice? Who benefits from justice? How might advocates impact injustice? Here's a powerful film that really shows what it was like to be a store owner during this time. So it just gives that visual understanding. And then after watching that video called April's Way, it's an opportunity to once again have these discussions. What is the difference between justice and injustice? What examples of injustice did you see in the story of Saigu? Who benefits from injustice? Who benefits from justice? And how might advocates impact injustice? Now moving on to 7.2. So all those first pieces are curated in activity 7.1. Now we're moving on to 7.2, which is experience of Korean Americans during the 1992 LA civil unrest. It impacted many people, but now we're closing in on the Korean American experience in all this. How were Korean Americans, both those who lived during the events and those who have been born since, impacted by the 1992 civil unrest? What are similarities and differences between these experiences? What did they see as some of the causes of the 1992 civil unrest? What impact was felt in the Korean American community? What impacts were felt by other groups, LAPD, African American population, Latino, Hispanic population, etc.? There's places that have captured Korean American stories, like the Legacy Project. The URL is provided, as you can see here in the highlight, in the slide itself. The Legacy Project was established to capture, create, preserve, and share stories of the Korean American experience by supporting and promoting storytelling in all forms that explore and reflect the ever-evolving Korean American story. And then you have a chance to maybe see some of these, including Carol Kim. So once again, we're having a chance to hear the story from eyewitness accounts of what Korean Americans experienced during Saigu, the LA riots. And then it gives opportunity once again for more dialogue. What were the common experiences of Korean Americans who were part of the Saigu 1992 LA civil unrest? What were some unique or uncommon experiences of Korean Americans who were part of Saigu 1992 LA civil unrest? And then now moving on to activity 7.3, the legacy of Saigu. So that was a difficult, challenging time for so many, but in our course we like to talk about resilience and how resilience can be born from even difficult experiences. We don't want to even waste the pains. At least that's our hope. So we're moving on to 7.3, the legacy. So questions that might be included are, what is the legacy of Saigu? In the South Central neighborhoods of Los Angeles, how have race relations changed since Saigu? Have they stayed the same? Being caught between two worlds, how do Korean American immigrants feel the pressures and the divide in the U.S. along racial lines, especially as they enter small businesses in inner city communities? What racial inequalities and mistreatments of Korean Americans during the 1992 LA civil unrest uprising persist today? How does your new understanding of Korean American experiences inform you about the Korean American identity? Some quick writes that students may have an opportunity to kind of help think, jot down some of their ideas include, a legacy is something that's carried from previous generation and handed from the past to the future. It's believed that building a legacy helps establish stronger communities, but a legacy may also have some negative implications. So they're writing down 5 minutes of what they feel is a legacy of Saigu. What is a legacy? What is the Saigu legacy? How might it be different for different individual or groups? Who are all the individuals and groups that contribute to handing down the Saigu legacy? Who are the individuals and groups who were and continue to be impacted by the Saigu legacy? What would you have done in the future to reshape, or what could be done, what would be done in the future to reshape the legacy of Saigu? There's some articles that folks can read as well. They're choosing articles and then with their partners continuing to dialogue. It could be the 25 years after the LA riots. And so there's some additional questions. What might Edward Cheng and Dr. Edward Cheng and Carol Park, they've been so instrumental in archiving some of this very important work and actually creating this lesson. And Korean American merchants feel as a part of the Saigu legacy. Make a list of these elements and add these answers to your quick writes. And then the Korean store. What might Simon Yu, Simon Choi, and the Korean American Federation feel as a part of the Saigu legacy? Make a list of these elements and add these answers to your quick writes. And so, yeah, you can see like there's some assessments that you could give as well, like cause and effect relationships. And so you can look at Saigu, the LA civil unrest, using the T-chart to understand some cause and effect implications of what happened during those events. And they give some examples of non-Saigu examples here so that you can provide that prior knowledge. And there's some rubrics as well. So you can see like there's so many resources on this website that would be so helpful for a teacher. I know there's some of us out there where like, I really don't know a lot about this topic and race relations and Saigu. It just seems like a difficult topic to talk about. So where do you begin? So I think just even looking at this lesson and thinking which elements might you want to do. I know for myself, I might not do all of them. I might even adapt it to some degree. So thinking about your students, your age group, your population, and thinking how might I adapt? But you can definitely use these resources, right? They're very helpful to have there. What parts of it might you include? But I think it's a topic that students are interested in, and I think there are many lessons that we can take away from this that can lead to a good legacy from a painful event like Saigu.